Hey everybody, and welcome to Mondoid, your weekly Project Zomboid update, talking about the blog post that they post every Monday. This week is a lot of chat with not too much content. I'm just kidding. There's actually a good chunk of stuff here to talk about. It was actually an interesting blog to read just because of the way it was written. Since it wasn't written by Will, it was written by Andy and Marina, also known as Binky and Mashed Potassium. They're just talking about a little bit of the stuff. Since it is New Year, there's not a whole lot they want to talk about. And they probably want to go out and party and drink and bring in the New Year appropriately. So what did they talk about this Monday for the Project Zomboid blog? Well, kind of a little bit what they talked about last time. Last week, it was a lot of scripts, right? It was a lot of talking about events that was happening, talking about NPCs and the way the NPCs interact with each other, the metagame, the way that the world is only loaded around your character, and just trying to make the world feel more alive, as opposed to having all the NPCs kind of die off and whatnot. Well, they're kind of going that route a little bit with this blog post, and they're talking more about creating a more believable world. I remember one of the things that was in last week was the tile sets, and I remember saying one of the new tile sets with pipes and stuff helped create a more varied world, which was one of the bigger challenges of making a game this unique, this large, and this detailed, was making sure that things looked varied enough so that the player didn't get bored looking at it. And actually, they go into detail a bit more in this blog, and that's kind of what it's about. And with Mashed Potassium, or Marina rather, let's call her by her real name, Marina, is the one that kind of does a lot of the artwork and a lot of the world building for Project Zomboid. We get a lot of that and a lot of what goes into it. So they kind of start off just talking to each other on Skype, and it's very story written. And she starts talking about some of the stuff you're going to see. So instead of just seeing like your normal corner store, you're going to see a named corner store. Stuff like, instead of just seeing a pizza shop, you're going to see a pizza chain franchise called Pizza World. You're going to see something called Slurp Burp, or Zippy Market, or all these other things. Now, in the older versions, we already saw stuff like Spiffos and Seahorse Cafe and all that stuff. So basically what she's doing is she's adding more. You know, she talks about how in the North American lifestyle, we're surrounded by brands and we're surrounded by advertisements and things that just are posted everywhere. If you've ever gone to New York, or if you've ever been in a place like LA, you just know you're surrounded by advertisements everywhere. I remember going to New York, being in Times Square, and literally it was just billboards of advertisements everywhere, and it was a sight to see. So she's talking a little bit of how, you know, in North American lifestyle, you're surrounded by all these things, and she's trying to bring that in, or they're trying to bring that into the game by bringing in things like Pizza World. So, you know, you're going to have pizza shops that actually have name brand. Scrolling down a little bit, you're going to have stuff like Citrate, where instead of just having soda that says fizz or pop, it's actually going to have names to it. And, you know, they talk about how the player themselves may not notice this right away. It's going to add layer and depth to a world, but maybe just the player may not notice it because, again, it's small things, but in my opinion, it's very important. It's one of those things that in a game that's this big, and they're looking to make this game big and then expand it over the months and years that the game is out, the biggest challenge is maintaining variety and having these small things in there like Citrate instead of Fizz and Pop, or Pizza World instead of just a pizza shop, or all these, you know, Zippo markets and all this stuff instead of just corner market, adds the variety that your active mind, I guess, the forefront of your thoughts may not notice, but your subconscious, I guess, would prevent you from getting bored at the scenery, from looking at the scenery constantly. It just adds that variety, and I think that's one of the things I liked, is that she's just talking about world building, which, if you're actually interested in world building, there's actually a little bit here that you might want to read. Just the idea of building a world, whether it be a modern one or not, is actually takes a lot of time and takes a lot of small little things that the reader, if it was a book, or the player, as far as video games, may not necessarily notice straight up and go, oh, hey, I noticed this. But in the back of their mind, they would notice it, and it would just make the world feel more alive. And that's really what this blog post is about. They're just talking about things. Here's another, the Zippo Market. And needs to feel like, okay, so yeah, here, you know, if you read this paragraph, they're saying Muldrow and the surrounding areas as we expand needs to feel like a real place, not just a collection of buildings spread into the world, which is something I was talking about last week with the Mondoid post, and it actually continues over into this week, and more so this week than anything else. And that's really it for the blog post, outside of wishing everybody a happy new year. I hope you guys are continuing and following their Monday blog posts. I know I will continue to do so, and I will continue to make Mondoid blog posts, whether it's small things like this or it's a big update like the past couple weeks have been. Again, every blog post that kind of gets posted, I get more and more excited for the RC3. I'm really hoping RC3 is going to be as big as they're making it to be. And I hope you enjoyed this blog post. I know I did. And I will see you guys next week with more Mondoid. I'll see you next week with more Mondoid. Or I'll see you in a bit at another video if you go check out some of my other videos. I'll see you guys later. Peace out.